thank y'all for being here today. My name is Collier Neely. I'm on the executive committee for Your Town, Alabama, also the director for the Landmarks Foundation of Montgomery. We're happy to have Katie Thomas from the Alabama Association for Resource Conservation and Development. She is going to give us a rundown about what RC&Ds do, talk about your local RC&Ds, and then give you kind of a rundown on some of their grants. So Katie, thank you for being here. And before you get going, I just want to mention that your town's annual workshop is coming back in 2022. It's going to be at Camp McDowell like usual in April. So y'all keep a lookout for the application on our website. And we'll send a blast out to everybody over social media and email as well if you're on our mailing list. So with that, Katie, take it away. Thanks.
Thank you, Collier. Thank you for having me. I'm looking forward to telling you all about RC&D today. So let me get my PowerPoint pulled up here. All right, so I am Katie Thomas, and I'm the operations manager for the Alabama Association of Resource Conservation and Development Councils. And I'm just really happy to be here today to show you all maybe how to get some money for your local communities. All right, so the Alabama Association of Resource Conservation and Development Councils is a nonprofit organization, and we serve as an umbrella to our 9 RC&D councils that are all in local areas. And they are also 501c3 organizations. So we're all 10 individual nonprofit organizations. Because we're nonprofit organizations, we have really diversified funding, but our main sources of funding come from our state legislature. We're funded through the general fund budget and the education trust fund budget. A big question that we get a lot is, what do you do? And we have so many different projects, and there's a lot out there that RC&D is able to do. There's really not an easy way to put it, but we like to say that we fill in the gaps across all these communities where maybe tax dollars fall short. There may be something as simple as having a park in your community or a place to meet. And that's, an example of a gap that we would fill in. And we also do education grants, and we're able to fill in those gaps with education as well. So we give grants all across the state, but we also have other programs and projects that our councils do from their offices as well. So what were we able to do in fiscal year 2020? Our fiscal year begins on October 1st. So for fiscal year 2020, that was October 1st of 2019 through September 30th of fiscal year 2020. And on general fund, we were able to complete 259 projects totaling $1,704,830. And we were also able to complete 310 projects in education funds totaling almost $2 million. So we're able to do so much within the state of Alabama. That does not even include the value added to these communities. And this is just what we're able to do in 1 year. And this was during COVID as well. So we're very proud of what we were able to accomplish in the state of Alabama. So who can apply for our grants? We have other 501c3 nonprofit organizations, units and subunits of government. This is not for private entities or for-profit businesses. This is for public benefit. So you have to be a 501c3 nonprofit organization or unit of subunit of government. So say a school or a park or a volunteer fire department, a municipality, any kind of unit or subunit of government. And we do check our tax ID numbers when we're looking through grant applications. So we do check to make sure that we're giving grants to people that qualify for these grants. So what type of projects are funded? We have general projects and we have education projects. And I have a couple of pictures here. The first one is a general fund project on the left, and that's the Greenville Fire Department. And this was through Mid-South RC&D and their region. And they were able to give this fire department turnout gear and equipment. So that's one way that we're able to impact communities through the general fund. So that's an example, but we also do things like parks, libraries, just all sports complexes, that type of thing that doesn't have an educational objective, but is still something that you need in your community for public benefit. And then for education, our education funds have to have an educational component. So it doesn't necessarily have to be what you think of when you think education. Sometimes when we think education, we automatically think of a school, but we also do career training workshops, workshops for different staff members. And so we do, K all the way through adulthood, through retirement. Any kind of educational component qualifies as an education project, but those education funds do have to be spent on something with an education component. So in this picture on the right is our LEAD Wiregrass program. This is actually a community training program that our Wiregrass RC&D Council has come up with and implemented themselves to kind of bring communities together and get people more involved in bettering those rural areas. A big thing with RC&D is rural areas. We cover all 67 counties, and in the state of Alabama, rural is mostly what we're working with. So it's a great way for all of these people and communities to come together and work together and make an impact in these rural areas. So our grant timeline, or this is our timeline for the year. Like I said, our fiscal year starts on October 1st. So we begin to accept grant applications much earlier in the year. First, the very first thing is, since all of our boards and councils are 501c3s, they each have to set their own priorities for the year. So does the state level. So we all set priorities. They may be different. An example of that would be that a board may set a priority for, say, volunteer fire departments. So the applications that come in for volunteer fire departments are going to be their number one priority for that year. And so usually you'll have a few priorities, but each council is going to be a little bit different. So it depends on the region that you're in as far as what those priorities are, because that local board will determine that, but they will post that on their website with their application. So you kind of know what direction they want to make an impact in. So before anything else, board priorities are set, and that's usually in the first quarter of the calendar year, January through March. So our applications are accepted April 1st through June 30th. We have started accepting them all at the same time. This past year was our first year to do that. We were trying to get everybody on the same timeline as far as accepting applications, and we were successful. So I hope that stays that way. But currently all councils are accepting grant applications April 1st through June 30th. Applications are normally reviewed between July and September, and that is a whole process. The applications go to the office, and then your county committees will review those applications, and then they go to the board for review as well. And if your application is approved, so if the board does want to fund your application and give you a grant, then you will have to sign a cooperative agreement before October 1st. So all of our grants are on a reimbursement basis, which means that we do not give money up front. If you receive a grant, you're gonna get your money on the back end after you completed the project. So you'll sign your cooperative agreement by October 1st, and then you will start your project. And you'll be required to turn in receipts and documentation, and money cannot be spent until after that cooperative agreement is executed and after October 1st. So make sure that if you do get a grant in the future, you don't spend any of your money until the cooperative agreement is signed and it's October 1st of that fiscal year. So we are about to start our fiscal year 2022 in a couple of weeks. So we've been doing a lot lately. Our fiscal year start date, as I've said, is October 1st. The documentation deadline is August 1st of the next year. So for these grantees that are receiving grants currently and working on signing their cooperative agreements, those grants will have to be completed with all of their documentation turned in by August 1st of 2022. So they have, they don't quite have a whole year to do their projects, but that includes turning in everything, your final report, your documentation, pictures, and all of those things are listed in our cooperative agreement as things you have to turn in. Our grant is a pretty easy process. We have pretty simple grant applications and completion forms. But if you want to turn it in early, you can do that too. So that's pretty much our timeline as far as how our grants go. So if you miss the window this year and you need a grant, you will have to wait until fiscal year 2023, but make sure to mark your calendars that April 1st through June 30th of 2022 is when we'll be accepting those applications again. So where do you apply? You apply on our website, and I'm going to kind of show y'all that in just a minute. But you go to AlabamaRCD.org, and we actually have a page now where we have each individual grant application. So this has kind of been confusing in the past is, what do you apply for? Do you apply for a statewide grant or a local grant? Most people qualify for a local council grant. So you would not be applying through the Alabama Association. We give our own grants as well, but they have to cover 3 or more council regions. And so if your project is just a local project that only covers your community or your county or a couple of counties, then you're going to go to your local RC&D council. And now we have each application. They are individual applications. So there's 10 individual applications. We have a Find Your Council page where you'll be able to go and click in your county area, and you will be able to find the contact information for your local council. So if you don't know what council you fall under, you can go to that page on our website, AlabamaRCD.org, and click on your county, and it will take you to your council's page. So if you're a local project, you'll want to find your council and then apply with that council. So this website has links to all the applications. All of our applications are electronic. So we do not take paper applications anymore. We only take electronic applications. You can do this on your phone, on your tablet, your laptop, desktop, any kind of device. It's usually user-friendly on everybody's applications. So just make sure you do the right application, because that's where we kind of get a little confused sometimes, is people will apply to the wrong council or they'll apply to the state. So that's really, really important. But if you do have a larger project that is 3 council regions or more, then you will apply with the Alabama Association. So let me show you that website. Get that pulled up for you. All right. So right now we are on our website. Just make sure that this is working. So we're on our website. This is what it looks like. So you'll go over here to projects and grants, and then go down to grant application. And then you'll see this page here where it tells you everything you need to know about our grants. And then it's even got this part right here, find your local council, and some information right here. As far as funding amounts, that is a question that we get. Our minimum grant amount is $3,000. So we don't do grants any smaller than $3,000. And we normally don't do grants much bigger than 15 to 20. So our grants are on the smaller side. So this is, for smaller projects mostly. So down here, you can see that we have posted our fiscal year 2022 priorities so that people can see what those are before they apply. And then we have all of our applications linked here, and our programs manager, Clara Taplin, she is over our grants. So she has put everybody's window here, and everybody's is pretty close to what I mentioned earlier, the April 1st through June 30th, but you can see a couple of these have, you know, maybe an extra day or a couple less days. But this is where you would go to your application. And applications are closed right now, so I can't really go to any. And then also, when you complete your project, most of the councils have a completion form, and they will tell you how that works once you receive a grant. So you can go up here to AARCD councils and find your council. And this is what that page looks like. We have all these different councils here outlined. So if, let's say you're in Coosa County, you would click on Coosa, and then you would go to the Coosa Valley RC&D Council. This gives you all of their contact information and their website. So you will be able to look up that information if you need to call them or you need to contact somebody, or you can go to their website. And then over here is our annual reports. This is a way to see kind of what type of projects have been funded in the past. I think that we've got to add, yes, we're about to add 2021 pretty soon. So if you want to see like what individual projects we did in 2020, you can click on our 2020 annual report. We are planning on working on our website in the next year or so to kind of update some of these things and make it a little bit better for everyone. We've also got a calendar. We try to update events and that type of thing, but this is our website. So let me go back to the PowerPoint. All right. And then this is my contact information. I'm going to just put this on the screen so that you guys can write it down. This is if you want to contact our office, if you have any additional questions about anything or who to contact. This is all my contact information. And then I'll leave this up there for a minute, and then I will go back and see if there's any questions in the chat. And I should say too that there's 3 people at the State Association office. We have our executive director, Mike Roden, and his email is mike.roden, R-O-D-E-N, at alabamarcd.org. And then we also have our programs manager, Clara Taplin, and her email is clara at alabamarcd.org. See, I've got a chat. Could a 501c3 apply for a grant each year, each application cycle? So you can definitely apply every year. We have a general rule of funding the same project or the same grantee 2 years in a row and then giving them a break. We don't want anyone to, you know, budget for getting a grant every year or rely on that grant every year, but you are able to apply every year. You can certainly try, and it never hurts to ask. So yes. All righty. So does anyone else have any questions? I know I kind of like blew through all that. Anybody? Let's see, I got another question. Can grantees partner together to have bigger projects that covers more of the state? Yes. Sometimes we do have people, you will have the same applicant that handles the grant and does the administration of the grant, but you can partner with other organizations to put on a project. Let's see. All right, I got a comment. Love the applications have been better identified. That is definite process improvement. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. We can be kind of a confusing organization at times. But we're trying to make things easier for all of our applicants and for our councils. What types of entities are eligible for these grants? So you have to, these grants are for public benefit. So it has to be another 501c3 nonprofit organization or a unit or subunit of government. It cannot be individual or for-profit business. All right. Any other questions? Let's see, it says, can you apply both at the association and the council level? You can apply at both. We typically don't like crossover those, so we will check with our councils. You know, if a grant has been funded at the state level, we normally try not to double fund. You definitely can't double dip. So you can't apply for the same project at the local level and at the state level. But you can apply at both levels for different things, but not for the same thing. All righty. Well, I think that it looks like that's it. Y'all can continue. If you have any other questions, you can reach out to us or go to our website, alabamarcd.org. And we're happy to help you guys out. And we're just happy to make Alabama a better place to live, work, and play. So thank you so much. And I hope you guys have a great rest of your Tuesday.